Ever seen a subway thug so convincing you'd never guess it was a young Sylvester Stallone begging for the role? Yeah, that's Bananas for you. Woody Allen's wild ride where a New Yorker stumbles into a Latin American rebellion after getting dumped. And speaking of wild, remember that TV ad for New Testament cigarettes? It got the movie condemned by the Catholic Church. But hey, if you think that's bold, wait till you see Allen accidentally get singed by a grenade during a training montage. This isn't just comedy, it's chaos. So, let's talk about Bananas, Woody Allen's 1971 comedy that's equal parts absurd and ahead of its time. Picture this. A bumbling New Yorker gets dumped by his activist girlfriend, decides to reinvent himself, and somehow ends up leading a rebellion in a fictional Latin American country. It's as chaotic as it sounds, but that's what makes it so hilarious. And yeah, this is the movie where a young Sylvester Stallone plays a subway thug, a role he practically begged for after Allen initially thought he wasn't tough-looking enough. Turns out, Stallone's persistence paid off, and it's one of those early gems in his career that's easy to overlook. But Bananas isn't just about the laughs. It's a sharp satire that takes jabs at everything from politics to advertising. Remember that mock TV ad for New Testament cigarettes? Yeah, it was so controversial it got the movie condemned by the Catholic Church. Bold move, Woody. The film is packed with these kinds of moments, like the dinner scene where musicians mime playing instruments because the actual instruments never showed up. Allen just rolled with it, and it fits perfectly into the film's off-the-wall tone. This was his third feature as a director, and the first where he had nearly full creative control, and you can feel his confidence in every frame. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it's utterly charming. So why does this movie still matter? Well, it's a reminder that comedy can be both silly and smart, and sometimes the best way to tackle serious topics is by throwing a pie in their face. Let's dive in. Alright, so Bananas kicks off with Woody Allen playing Fielding Mellish, this totally awkward, neurotic New Yorker who's just trying to navigate life but keeps tripping over his own feet. Seriously, the guy's a mess. He's got this activist girlfriend, Nancy, played by Louise Lasser, who's all about the cause, while Fielding's just trying to keep up. But here's the thing, she dumps him. Ouch. And not in a nice way. She's like, you're not doing enough for the world, and Fielding's just standing there like a deer in headlights. So what does he do? He decides to reinvent himself, of course. He heads down to this tiny Latin American country called San Marcos, which is basically in the middle of a revolution, and get this, he somehow ends up becoming the leader of the rebellion. I mean, how does that even happen? But before we get to all that, let's talk about the setup. The movie starts with Fielding in New York, trying to impress Nancy by joining her protests. There's this hilarious scene where he's at a rally, and he's so out of place, it's painful. Then there's this moment in the subway where he tries to be a hero but ends up getting mugged. And guess who's one of the thugs? A young Sylvester Stallone, looking tough but apparently not tough enough at first. Woody Allen actually sent him back to the casting agency because he didn't think he looked the part, but Stallone begged for the role and eventually got it. Crazy, right? Anyway, Fielding's life is just a series of missteps, but it's all so absurdly funny. The movie doesn't take itself seriously for a second, and that's what makes it work. By the end of the first act, Fielding's on a plane to San Marcos, ready to prove himself, even though he has no idea what he's doing. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, but you can't look away, and that's just the beginning. All right, let's dive into some of the behind-the-scenes magic that makes Bananas such a wild ride. First off, remember that training montage where Fielding is learning how to throw a hand grenade? Yeah, that scene is pure chaos. Turns out, the pin in Woody Allen's hand actually exploded after he threw the grenade. And no, that's not a special effect. Woody got slightly singed by an incendiary device hidden in his hand. His reaction? Totally real. But here's the kicker. Instead of reshooting, he just left it in the film. Classic Woody Allen, turning a near disaster into comedy gold. Speaking of chaos, let's talk about Alan Garfield's cameo. You know the guy on the cross? Yeah, that's him. It's such a bizarre, out-of-now-here moment, but it fits perfectly into the film's absurdity. And then there's the whole Latin American rebellion plot. It's so over the top, but it works because Woody Allen's delivery is just so deadpan. You can't help but laugh at how seriously he takes himself, even when he's clearly in way over his head. The film's production was pretty low-key, but that's part of its charm. It feels like a bunch of friends got together and decided to make a movie just for the fun of it. And honestly, that's what makes Bananas so timeless. It's not trying to be anything more than a hilarious, off-the-wall comedy. So, next time you watch it, keep an eye out for those little moments of chaos. They're what make Bananas such a gem. All right, let's shine a spotlight on the performances in Bananas because, honestly, they're what make this movie such a hilarious and memorable ride. First up, of course, is Woody Allen as Fielding Mellish. Woody's signature neurotic charm is on full display here, and it's impossible not to laugh at his awkward attempts to fit in, whether he's trying to impress his activist girlfriend or accidentally becoming the leader of a Latin American rebellion. Speaking of that rebellion, there's a scene where Fielding is training to throw a hand grenade, and let me tell you, the reaction you see on Woody's face when the pin in his hand explodes, totally real. Turns out there was a small incendiary device hidden in his hand, and it actually singed him a bit. But Woody, being the perfectionist he is, decided to keep the take. It's that kind of commitment that makes his performance so authentic and funny. Now, let's talk about the casting surprises. Did you know Sylvester Stallone is in this movie? Yeah, that's Sylvester Stallone. He plays a subway thug in one of his earliest film roles, and it's not even a cameo. Apparently, Woody initially thought Stallone wasn't tough-looking enough and sent him back to the casting agency, but Stallone pleaded his case, and Woody gave him a shot. It's a small moment, but it's cool to see a future icon in such a raw, early role. Louise Lasser, who plays Fielding's girlfriend, Nancy, also deserves a shout-out. Her deadpan delivery and no-nonsense attitude are the perfect foil to Woody's over-the-top antics. Their chemistry is spot on, especially in the scenes where she's trying to dump him, but he just can't take a hint. And let's not forget the mock TV ad for New Testament cigarettes, which, by the way, got the movie condemned by the Catholic Church. It's a bold move, but it fits perfectly with the film's irreverent tone. Overall, the performances in Bananas are what make it such a classic. Woody Allen's comedic timing, Louise Lasser's straight-faced delivery, and even Stallone's unexpected appearance all come together to create a movie that's as funny today as it was in 1971. So, what makes Bananas stand out? Well, for starters, it's the kind of movie where you're never quite sure what's coming next. Take the dinner scene at General Vargas' house, for example. The musicians are supposed to be playing instruments, but if you look closely, they're actually just miming. Turns out the rented instruments never showed up, and instead of waiting, Woody Allen decided to roll with it. It's this kind of improvisational energy that gives the film its chaotic charm. And speaking of chaos, remember the training montage where Fielding is learning to throw a hand grenade? The pin in his hand actually explodes after he tosses it, and Woody's reaction is 100% real. He got slightly singed by an incendiary device. But instead of reshooting, he kept it in, and it's these little moments of authenticity that make the movie feel alive. Then there's the mock TV ad for New Testament cigarettes, which was so over the top. It got the movie condemned by the Catholic Church. It's bold, it's irreverent, and it's exactly the kind of boundary-pushing humor that defines Allen's style. Even the casting has its surprises, like Sylvester Stallone as a subway thug, one of his earliest roles. Allen almost didn't cast him because he didn't think Stallone looked tough enough, but Stallone begged for the part and ended up making the cut. It's these behind-the-scenes stories and on-screen risks that make Bananas more than just a comedy. It's a snapshot of Allen's evolving voice as a filmmaker, and it's as unpredictable and hilarious today as it was in 1971. So, let's talk about how Bananas has left its mark on culture and society. First off, This movie is a prime example of how comedy can tackle serious issues without losing its edge. Woody Allen's portrayal of Fielding Mellish, a total fish out of water, not only gives us laughs, but also slyly comments on American intervention in Latin America. It's wild how a film from 1971 can still feel relevant today, right? Take the scene where Fielding accidentally becomes the leader of a revolution. It's absurd, but it also makes you think about how power can fall into the wrong hands. That kind of sharp satire has definitely influenced later political comedies, like Dr. Strangelove, or even modern shows like Veep. Speaking of influence, the film's unpredictability, like the dinner scene at General Vargas' house, with the unexpected musical number, has inspired countless filmmakers to push boundaries and keep audiences guessing. And let's not forget the cameos. Having real-life figures like Roger Grimsby and Don Dunphy play themselves added a layer of realism that made the absurdity even funnier. It's a technique you see a lot now, but back then it was pretty groundbreaking. Bananas also cemented Woody Allen's style of blending humor with social commentary, which became a hallmark of his career. Its legacy isn't just in its laughs, but in how it showed that comedy could be a powerful tool for critique. So, yeah, next time you're watching a movie that mixes humor with politics, tip your hat to Bananas. It's probably in there somewhere. All right, verdict time. So, should you watch Bananas? Absolutely, yes. It's a wild ride that keeps you guessing, and honestly, that's what makes it so fun. Woody Allen's knack for blending absurdity with sharp social commentary is on full display here. Whether it's the dinner scene at General Vargas' house, where the musicians are hilariously miming because the instruments never showed up, or the mock TV ad for New Testament cigarettes that got the movie condemned by the Catholic Church, Bananas doesn't hold back. It's bold, it's unpredictable, and it's got this chaotic energy that just works. Plus, keep an eye out for a young Sylvester Stallone as a subway thug. Yeah, that's right, Stallone. Apparently, Allen almost cut him because he didn't think he looked tough enough, but Stallone begged to stay, and here we are. Moments like these, along with Allen's genuine reaction to a grenade pin exploding in his hand during the training montage, add this layer of authenticity to the chaos. It's a comedy that's unafraid to take risks, and that's why it still feels fresh today. So, if you're in the mood for something that's equal parts funny and fearless, Bananas is your movie. Just don't say I didn't warn you about the absurdity. It's part of the charm.